This is Heart of the Guardians, where every heartbeat tells a story worth remembering. There are moments in life that start like ordinary days, until something happens that changes everything you believe about fate, courage, and connection. My name is Daniel, and this is the story of the day I almost died, and the mysterious bond that followed me ever since. It began on a quiet Sunday morning in late summer. The air was heavy with the scent of wet grass, and the river near my hometown was running wild after 3 days of rain. I often walked by the riverbank early in the morning to clear my mind before work. The sound of water rushing against the rocks was strangely comforting. But that morning, something felt different. The current was louder, almost angry, as if the river itself was alive and restless. I remember pulling my jacket tighter and noticing a small shoe lying half buried in the mud near the edge. It was pink, a child's shoe, with tiny white flowers on the side. My first thought was that maybe someone had dropped it while walking, but then I heard it. A faint cry. At first, I thought it was an animal. But as I stood still, my heart froze. It wasn't an animal. It was the desperate, muffled sound of a human voice, a girl's voice, carried by the wind and the roar of the river. Help, please. I ran closer to the water, scanning every direction, but the current was thick and foamy. Then I saw her, a small figure, maybe 11 or 12 years old, clinging to a broken tree branch caught in the rapids. Her arms were trembling, her face pale, her eyes wide with terror. She was slipping. Without thinking, I threw my phone and wallet to the ground and dove in. The water was colder than I imagined, like knives cutting through my skin. The current yanked me under instantly, filling my mouth with the bitter taste of river mud. For a few seconds, I couldn't tell which way was up. But then I saw her hand reaching out, and I kicked hard toward her. The sound of rushing water filled my ears. The girl screamed as the branch snapped, and before I could think, I caught her arm and pulled her close. She was light, too light, like a feather soaked in water. Her lips were blue, her eyes fading. I wrapped one arm around her chest and fought the current with everything I had left. Every muscle in my body burned. The river pulled us down again and again, and at one point, I thought we wouldn't make it, but somehow, I saw a low branch from a willow tree hanging over the water. I reached for it, grabbed it, and with a final burst of strength, dragged us both to the muddy bank. I lay there, coughing up water, shaking uncontrollably. The girl didn't move at first. Panic filled my chest as I started pressing my hands on her chest, forcing the water out. "Come on, breathe," I whispered. "Please, just breathe." Then she gasped, a small, broken sound, and water spilled from her mouth. She started crying weakly, and I pulled her close, wrapping my jacket around her. She looked at me with the most haunting eyes I had ever seen. Pale green, almost glowing in the dim morning light. She didn't speak. She just stared at me, as if she couldn't believe I was real. I called for help, and soon the paramedics arrived. They rushed her to the hospital while I sat on the back of the ambulance, wrapped in a blanket, trying to stop shaking. When they asked me her name, I realized I didn't know. She hadn't said a single word. At the hospital, they told me she had no ID, no family contact, nothing. Just a necklace with the name, Lila, engraved on it. Lila. She stayed unconscious for most of the day. I visited her after the doctors stabilized her, and when I walked into the room, she opened her eyes again, those same pale green eyes. She smiled faintly. "You saved me." Her voice was soft, fragile, like someone who had been crying for a long time. I nodded. "You're safe now. You're going to be okay." But she just shook her head slightly. "No one ever comes back from the river." I didn't understand what she meant. Maybe she was in shock. Maybe she had been out there for too long. The doctors said she'd need time to recover and that social services would handle the rest. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard the rushing water again. I saw her face, that strange sadness in her eyes. The next morning, I went back to the hospital, but she was gone. They told me a woman claiming to be her guardian had come to sign her out, but no one could confirm who she was. There were no records, no fingerprints, nothing. It didn't make sense. Over the next few days, I tried to move on. But then strange things started happening. The first was the humming. A soft melody that I kept hearing outside my apartment window late at night. It was faint, almost childlike, the same tune Lila had been humming when I found her. The second was the smell, river water. Damp, earthy, and cold. I'd wake up to find puddles near my door, footprints leading nowhere. At first, I thought it was my imagination, some kind of trauma or leftover guilt. But then, one night, I saw her. She was standing under the streetlight outside my apartment, wearing the same torn dress from that day. Her hair was wet, her skin pale. She looked exactly the same, but her eyes weren't the same. They glowed faintly in the dark. I ran outside, calling her name. But when I reached the street, she was gone. I tried to tell myself it was a dream, maybe a hallucination. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. Something had followed me from that river. The days that followed were strange. Wherever I went, to work, to the store, even when I drove out of town, I felt her presence. Like a quiet shadow watching over me. Sometimes I'd see movement in the corner of my eye, a small figure near water, a whisper that sounded like my name. I started avoiding the river entirely. Then one evening, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. When I answered, there was silence. Then a soft voice whispered, "Thank you for saving me, Daniel." My heart stopped. It was her voice. "Lila," I said. "Where are you?" But the line went dead. The next day, I went back to the riverbank. I don't know why. Maybe to find answers, maybe to end the nightmares. The sky was gray, the air cold. As I walked along the muddy path, I saw something caught in the reeds, a necklace. The same one she had worn. When I picked it up, I felt a sudden chill crawl up my spine. Then I heard her again, that same soft humming, coming from the water. "Lila," I shouted. "Where are you?" The river surface rippled, and for a brief second, I saw her reflection. She was smiling, calm, peaceful, as if she belonged there. Then she whispered, "I follow you because you gave me back what I lost, my life." I felt tears in my eyes. "What do you want from me?" She smiled again. "Nothing. Just to make sure you're never alone." The wind picked up, and her reflection faded. From that day on, I stopped fearing her presence. I began to understand that she wasn't haunting me. She was protecting me. Strange things kept happening, but not bad things. Once, I almost stepped into traffic, distracted, when I heard her voice call my name sharply. I froze, just as a speeding truck flew past inches from me. Another time, I woke up in the middle of the night to the smell of smoke. My kitchen had caught fire from a short circuit, and I swear I saw her silhouette by the door, pointing to the flames before vanishing. It was as if she was always there, watching, guarding me. Months passed. I learned to live with it. Sometimes, when I passed the river, I'd stop and whisper, "Thank you, Lila." And sometimes, I'd feel a cool breeze brush against my cheek, like a gentle answer. But there was one last encounter I'll never forget. It happened exactly 1 year later. I returned to the same river on the anniversary of that day. I placed a small bouquet of lilies by the water and stood quietly, thinking of her. Then, out of the mist, I saw her again, standing on the other side of the river, smiling softly. She looked peaceful this time, glowing faintly like light through water. "Are you free now?" I asked quietly. She nodded. "Yes, you helped me find peace. But remember, Daniel, every act of kindness creates a bond. Some bonds go beyond life itself." Then she stepped back into the mist and faded away. That was the last time I saw her. But sometimes, when I'm alone, I still hear that faint humming in the distance. Not haunting, just comforting. Like a reminder that even in the darkest waters, kindness never disappears. So if you ever find yourself by a river and you feel a soft breeze or hear a gentle tune that seems to come from nowhere, maybe it's her. Maybe it's someone watching over you, too. Because sometimes, when we save someone, we don't just save their life. We save their spirit, and in return, they might just save ours. This is Heart of the Guardians, where the stories of courage, sacrifice, and love remind us that we are never truly alone. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real, emotional tales from the heart of the Guardians. Because every story deserves to be remembered, and every heartbeat tells a story worth hearing.